Zoe, let's answer your questions. Um, First one, do you have insecurities and do you know where they might be coming from? So I think I extensively answered these ones. I definitely do have insecurities, especially if you know how to get them out of me or trigger them. You will definitely see them. I don't feel like I've too much insecurities in a relationship right now. I might be wrong. You might have another opinion about that. Um, but I don't think I missed any insecurities I have. Maybe the identity with the weeds. Didn't went fully into that one in this episode, but I think we hit that one in the first episode. For the moment, I felt like that was enough conversation to be had about that topic. So I think I'll leave the first question then. In what way do you think that your insecurities have an effect on your personal and professional life? Maybe I can elaborate a bit more about this one. So for my personal life, I think I still struggle with direct confrontation with my identity. I think a lot of people that tried challenging this or tried tried making me aware of something definitely saw the inherent how you say it, the threshold or the, oh, there's a nice word for it that I cannot think of right now. The inaction, the like you have an inherent yeah, disposition towards change. Everybody likes to be who they are and don't want to change too much. Everybody likes to be in the comfort zone. So when you get challenged on these kind of ideals or these identity that you have created, it gets pretty. It can get pretty, like I said, 0 to 100 pretty fast with me. I like to act like I'm the cool kicker, like I know myself pretty well, but I definitely am not. And people that have tried this to provoke me have definitely succeeded a few times already. So shout out to you guys. Professional life, I think the imposter syndrome is the biggest one for me there. I would also say that because of other people's insecurities, I became more confident. So I want to highlight this because um, I'm now in the midst of a negotiation between two jobs, and the fact that nobody really likes to talk about these things or talk about raise or money, or everybody who is in between negotiations always goes for the first option that pays the most, I guess, or like at our age, I would say. So in this moment, I'm really stretching it out a bit. I'm looking both sides. I'm talking, I'm negotiating, I'm actively taking part in getting myself the best deal. And I think a lot of people don't think they're worth that. So let me just tell you, um, what you're making, you probably can make 20 to 30% more just right about now. Like, I think everybody could get a raise if they really wanted it in this moment, because there is just such a tight labor market. Like, especially for my field, I don't know too much about other fields, but for the engineering fields, I know for sure if this guy doesn't accept my offer, then the next guy will accept it, or another guy will accept it. So now I'm just trying to get the best deal out of it for me. And why I'm saying this is because I have friends that work in the same company as me that don't do these things. They're like, I feel like this is a good enough offer for me. I'm not really worth more, or I don't know if I can ask these things. Nobody seems to do it, so I would say like just do it. Like, you have nothing to lose. You have your job maybe to lose, but in the end, there is like so many people looking for jobs, looking for people to hire. So the chances that they fire you are like so minimalistic, and even then, I think like you can find literally a job in anything, I think, right now. I'm just talking bullshit maybe right now, but I feel like there is such a high demand for people that can think. You know, I am not talking about people that work, just work without thinking, but people that are able to think for themselves, adapt, be flexible. I think there's a high demand for that in the job market right now. So all these people that I know were not really getting the best deal for themselves, and now I've kind of took it upon me to also advocate for them. Like, if you're not offering me these things, think about the next person that will come here. I literally told HR this, like, what are you gonna offer them? How are you gonna make it interesting for them? And for all they know, I could be gone tomorrow. So I'm really 1 foot out the door, 1 foot in the door right now. So they're trying to make the best offer for me. I'm gonna talk with the big chief, and if he can make something interesting for me, maybe work 4 out of 5 days or something, then I would take it. But otherwise, I'm not really that interested in the job anymore. And in the other job, it's paying pretty well. It's paying less, but it's sometimes you have to switch jobs. Like, I'm too comfortable in the job I'm currently in, and it's kind of nice. I can sleep. I've really good hours. I make money that I don't feel like really earning, but somehow they're still willing to pay it. So I kind of dropped that imposter syndrome aspect of me, and for now I'm just going with the best idea of the best deal I can get for me, and that works with my idea. So my idea is to work ideally 4 days out of 7. I don't know if anybody can offer it, but that's what I'm going for right now. If any one of two can offer it, I'll take it. Don't really care about how much they would pay then. Obviously it has not to be too much lower right now, but we'll see. I'm just saying there's nothing wrong with asking for something. If you know that you can think, if you know that you can grow in that company, don't be afraid to ask the manager or your manager. And there's also advice that from a friend last night, the Max. Shout out to the Max, all the way in America. He's doing the same thing, and even on a bigger scale. Like, he's just walking into offices, talking with people, getting to know the big guys. But that's also part of his job, making a lot of connections, getting to know people, have them do favors for them, have them do favors for you. So I would not say that's always true for, like, for example in Belgium, but I definitely know that we are too scared to ask for things. Like, that's just a fact. Belgians are not willing to open up their mouth fast enough, I think. All right. And I can use a forward for you, Zoe. Like, you asked to work 3 out of 5 days and you got it. Like, if you don't feel like working that much, just ask for less. Like, what are they gonna do? Fire the one person that still wants to come to work? Like, it's not something they can do. Can you differentiate between your healthy and unhealthy insecurities? This is a bit weird in the sense that I don't really know what are healthy insecurities. I feel like insecurities are inherent unhealthy, but that doesn't mean that they're necessarily bad. They can show you some area in which you can progress or grow as a person, and every person has to grow. Like, nobody gets born with this ultimate Einstein mind or philosophical mindset like Nietzsche or whatever. Everybody has to grow in this thinking, in this field, in the way that you view life. And by comparing yourself to others, you only grow this innate block that you put on yourself to change, actually. And that's why you have to go out for yourself, think about what you like, what you find interesting, what drives you, what makes you insecure. Think about all these things that happen to you and have an impact on you, and then you can start to think about, who am I, what do I like, where do I want to go, what do I envision for the world. Do I envision starting a podcast for the world? Do I envision sporting more for the world? Do for myself? Then do I envision reading more? All these things that I've started doing. Like, I'm not gonna say that I'm reading a lot, but it's definitely on the wish list there. But all these things that I want to do are something that came out of months and years of thinking about, how do I get out of this pit that I'm digging myself? How do I start to turn it around? And it started with just going to the fitness, conditioning myself when I'm stoned that I should fitness, and now I'm at the point from, okay, I think my hobbies need the attention and deserve the attention that they deserve. Like, this podcast would be way, way, way worse, even if I was stoned. Like, I don't know how it's doing now. I think people are kind of enjoying it, but it's also just maybe a monologue of me. But I think if I was stoned, this would never work. Like, people would like, oh, this is too all over the place, you're not making sense, you're really tired or slow in the talking, even though I'm not talking super fast right now, but I think I'm at least making coherent thoughts and sentences. It's not that I wouldn't have that when I'm stoned, it's just it wouldn't come as easy and as fluent as I would like it to be, especially for a podcast kind of thing. It's important that we stay on topic and that we have a coherent train of thought. Oh, that's a good one. So for me, healthy insecurities, I would, yeah, I don't know what you really mean by it. So maybe you mean insecurities that do not harm other people or yourself. But in a sense, I think every insecurity can be or is harmful in a way. Even if you realize it or not, people can lash out or can criticize themselves, or it's all unhealthy in my opinion. Like, it shows you what you can change, but it's not good behavior. You should not feel insecure about yourself. You're the main character of your own story. You're the One Punch Man for anime fans. You're the one that's gonna knock out everybody around you, and you're gonna be like, look, I saved the city. That's who you are. That's who you should be. Like, you want to change the world or the town you live in for yourself. Like, I'm gonna get rid of the evil and the insecurities and the bad things that happen around me, and that's just who you should be, I think. Obviously, there's also the idea that I floated before, people that just want to go down the river, all fine by me. But if you're like driven, you want to do something, you have an ideal, or you want to achieve something in your life that, or you're not feeling the fulfillment that you want in life, you should work on the insecurities. See where it gets you. See if you get healthy, if you get more secure, only opportunities will follow. That's the cliche thing that says that's everybody says, and it must be true. Otherwise, what am I doing? No, just kidding. So I think either way, insecurities are as good as bad as they can get. Like, it just shows you what's going inside of a person, and if people project their insecurities onto you, it's very difficult to take a step back then and say, hey, this is not about me anymore, this is about your insecurity that you're projecting on me. And that's what I told Max also yesterday. Like, people can be very toxic, people can be very insecure or naive or mean or taking advantage of you, and it's not up to them to change that. It's up to you to realize that they have to change for themselves and that you should not be affected by it. You cannot do anything about what they say or what they think or what they feel. Like, the only thing you can do is be sure that you don't feel the same way as they are, because that would be the worst outcome, I think. Somebody feels sad and they say mean things to you, and now you also feel sad. It's kind of onto you also, you know? Like, you let yourself be made sad by somebody who's just saying shit. That's just how I think about it. All right, next question. How do you think we can support someone who is struggling with insecurities? That's actually a very good question. I think there are two approaches. One approach can be that somebody projects their insecurity onto you or lashes out or whatever, and that you actually realize this, and that you are like, why, that you question why they are doing it. Like, you are being their unconscious mind, their self-perspective mind, and you're asking the questions to them, like, why do you say these things? Why? What made you feel that you had to say this to me? Why? I don't feel like I said anything to offend you. Why are you reacting this way? And that you actually challenge their identity. This is very difficult and very people have to be willing for that and be open to that idea. But I think it can be very helpful, for example, with friends or somebody that you really know and they know that you have the best interest for them. Then you can really try to challenge these insecurities. Like, why do you work this way? And then you start making their own, you start, how do you say it? You start making the connections for them, and they will hopefully also see these kind of connections. Like, why did I say that? It was not that strange what you said to me. And this is what, for example, Boris said to me, like, hey, bro, why are you using your watch list to me, your blacklist of things I've done a month ago? This doesn't make any sense. Why are you doing this? That made me actually realize, like, yeah, why am I doing that? That's kind of bullshit. I would never want somebody to do that to me. So you can only learn from this moment. So especially if you're close to somebody, you see that they struggle with certain insecurities that come up regularly, just try to challenge them in a not too harsh way, of course, but make them aware of it. People are sometimes oblivious to the most how do you say it? The most obvious thing for others. For example, if I'm a stoner and I would not say I'm a stoner, and I would also always be like, hey, I got this under control. You should challenge me for that, you know? Like, dude, you know you're fucking up your life, right? Like, you know, you're smoking every day 10 joints, and how does your day look like? Like, you're just gaming all day, and what do you accomplish, and how do you see yourself in 20 years? Like, these are all grown-up futuristic questions, but they actually can make something loose in a person. Let them think about what they are doing at this moment and how it impacts their future. So that's the first strategy, I would say, and how you could support someone or help them. The second case would be if they approach you about it. So, for example, if somebody says like, hey, I have problems with getting to know girls or getting to bond with them, then you can make, like, first you want them to fully explain, because they probably had the introspective solution or the introspective thoughts before, so they analyze the situation fully, and then you just let them talk, let them explain, give them let them say different examples when it arose, I don't know how to say it. Give them, let them just talk about it and see if they're making the right connections. You follow their path of thinking, and you know this person probably well enough to know where they're coming from, that you can imagine why they're thinking like that. And then if there is an inconsistency in their thinking, you're like, hey, why do you think that way? Like, this is kind of weird. Like, why should a girl be showing you interest? Why can you not show them some interest? Like, isn't that how like you show somebody that you like them? Like, do you always wait for the other person to show that you like them before you show it back? So such a small things can actually change the way they look at something, and make them be more aware of what they're doing wrong for themselves. And I'm now talking about insecurities about a person on their own, but yeah, it can also be deeper than that. You can, some things you cannot fix as a friend, you know. Sometimes people really need therapy, or like medical support, or somebody that has a professional understanding and a know-how of how the brain operates. And I have a pretty good idea, but whatever I'm saying, don't always take it with a grain of salt. Like, I'm definitely not an expert in anything, even though I'm getting paid for it sometimes. But it's just how it is. Like, some things are too serious to, like, if you have trauma from abusive situations or something, don't listen to my advice, you know. Like, this is serious shit that you need to deal with in a professional, in a good structured way. And I'm now talking more about personality insecurities, or identity insecurities, or weight, or whatever. Something that's more more flexible, like, no, what's the word I'm looking for? More fluid. Like, it's something that can change more quickly. Like, a trauma is a whole different area, and I would not like to get into that, because I don't feel like I can give adequate information or expertise about that. And I think that's also fair to say, like, if somebody says something to you and you don't know something about it, just be honest. Like, sorry, I can't really help you with that, or I've not experienced that. But please do elaborate. Like, for example, the problems that Jesse were saying, I have not experienced them, but I find it interesting just to hear about it. And then I just ask open questions without knowing the solution, you know? I'm just saying, hey, where does this stem from? Or is it still happening? Or how did you deal with it, with that? Like, keep the conversation open-ended, and just push it on, like, not push it on them, but make them talk about themselves. What they're, try to get together to the problem. What is actually triggering you, or what is actually bothering you. And I think that is a second approach. Then, just without knowing what you should challenge, just ask the open questions, and they will hopefully make the connection themselves. Oh, this is what I'm struggling with. And if it's something serious, go seek professional help. And if it's something you can deal with, or deal with friends or family, try that. Or alone, I don't care. Like, if you have the willpower to do it alone, I think you can even overcome trauma. But I know it's way more complicated than what I'm just saying. But this would be the first steps, I think. How would you like to be supported or not? How would I like to be supported? I'm looking at my list of insecurities. Honestly, if it's something that's not on my radar yet, I would like you to challenge that, or open, like the two methods I said before, or ask open questions about it. If it's something that's on my radar yet, and I'm not dealing with it as you are seeing it, I would be cautious. I would not assume that I'm not doing anything with it, or that it's not on my mind, or that I'm not dealing with it. As people know, I'm maybe very secretive or not talkative about everything in my life. Like I hit a channel for a few years that some people thought was gold, but I'm just doing stuff how I see it most of the time. And if you don't like it how I'm doing, you can ask me or have a conversation with me about it, but I would not assume that I don't know about it. Honestly, if I don't know about it, you can just say it bluntly in my face, I think. I would probably disagree with you in the beginning, but if you say something bluntly in my face, I would think about it. Why did somebody say that to me? I'm probably a big overthinker. I replay a lot of conversations in my head, also to know. For example, I think a lot of people do it in if something happens and the situation doesn't go as you want it to go, you replay the situation in your head and you try to think of what you could have said, of what you could have said better that would have de-escalated the situation or made it towards a better solution or option. So I think if there's something that I would need to be supported, yeah, it's maybe a step further already. So I acknowledge it probably. I am aware of it. How do I get support for it? Hmm. I think you would just let me do my thing. What is it sending here? A new card. I think you just have to let me do my thing. Don't try to challenge me too much when I'm trying to change. But if you see that I'm failing, then you should challenge me. And I think I can say this confident now because I'm in a good zone, but probably if I'm in a bad zone, challenging is gonna be difficult because I feel like I can get irritated pretty quickly right now. Don't know, maybe that gets better, but that's just how it is. Like, nobody likes to be critiqued, and I think I am even more sensitive to that, especially when I'm sober. So I would just say be careful, but also don't let me slip and slide, because it can go very quickly. Yeah. I think that's it for the question.